Hi guys! When Russians came abroad, they are waiting for a huge number of discoveries. The differences of culture and traditions is natural. Exactly the same feelings are expressed by foreigners who came to Russia for the first time. Here, everything is different from what is usual at home. People follow to other traditions and characters. What is considered normal in Europe, Asia, or America may be misinterpreted by local residents. Therefore, before the trip, it would be useful to find out interesting information about Russia, which is known to most foreigners. Therefore, before the trip, it would be useful to find out interesting information about Russia, which is unknown to most foreigners. Of course, any traveler before arriving at your place looks for it on the map. Russia is a geographical atlas, looks impressive, but still it is quite difficult to understand the scale looking at conditional images. To understand the size of this country, you can use a standard that is outside the Earth. For example, Pluto. The surface area of this planet is 16.2 million square kilometers, while area of Russia is 17 million square kilometers. That is, Pluto is smaller than this huge country. Crossing all its regions, the travel will change 11 time zones. This is more than in any other country in the world, since the light from east to north is about 10,000 kilometers. You can fly this distance on a passenger plane in 13 hours. Surprising information that can amaze foreigners concerns Russian nature. It's really varied. For example, a fact that not ever all Russians know: 25% of fresh water is concentrated in Russia, which is in a liquid state and not frozen as an iceberg or glaciers. 20% of this 25% is enclosed in the waters of Baikal, one of the largest lakes on Earth, which is more like an endless sea. If you remember that freshwater supplies are declining at a catastrophic rate, you can understand what an amazing treasure this is. A lot of amazing and interesting information can be told about the capital, Moscow. For most foreigners, it became a discovery that the city differs very little from any European capitals or from other metropolitan areas. Its population is 17.4 million people, almost 12% of all Russians. It surprises any foreigner how many parks and green areas there are in Moscow. There are more than 1,020 of them in total. Here you can always find benches, cafes, Wi-Fi, sport courts, and other. In addition, recreational or sporting events are constantly held in the parks. The fact that in terms of the level of civilization, Moscow has far surpassed many capitals of the world is actually shocking for foreigners. The famous phrase "Moscow never sleeps" is true. Here you can have fun around the clock, which is what guests of the capital and residents of the capital do. Nightclubs, cafes and restaurants are always ready to receive visitors and surprise with an interesting program. Tours around the city are held at night. Theatrical performances are often held in museums. During the Night of Museums, campaigns not only excursions and organized here, but also constant interesting performance, master classes and others. And one more interesting fact about the Russian capital, which especially amazes Americans: in Moscow and not in America, there is a huge McDonald's restaurant, which holds the record for the number of visitors in one day, 30,000 people. But due to recent events, it's more correct to say that is not located but was. But who knows, maybe in the future McDonald's will return to Russia again under its own brand. One fact is sticking to any foreigners. Russians are trying very hard to prove to others that they live richer than they really are. Dressing better than others, buying the most expensive mobile phone, showing off your photos from an expensive resort. All this is often beyond the understanding of people from other countries. Many foreign businessmen not in other national trade. Russians are very greedy for high price. In this country, there is no trust in products that is cheap. It is automatically considered that something is wrong with it. But any stranger product that has been inflated in value is considered excellent and became the ultimate dream of many people. This makes leading especially profitable in Russia. There are always enough of those who are ready to take out a loan, even in affordable terms, in order to demonstrate to everyone their ability to buy something expensive. Attitude towards the local auto industry is a feature that surprises tourists from all over the world. Anyone who drives Russian cars is by definition not cool. To prove their status, every citizen strives to buy a car more expensive. It seems funny to foreigners that give the general poor state of road and many hours of traffic jams. Russians tend to buy an economical cars with high gasoline. But most of all, they are interested in something else. Why with such a beautiful structure of the metro in big cities, rich people consider it below their dignity to use this model of transport. For a Russian person, it is better to ride in traffic jams several times a day, to lose the time of your life, but in no case fall to metro. Guests from abroad who end up in ordinary Russian families are surprised at how difficult it is for people to say goodbye to anything and object. Warehouses of old clothes are stored in closets and pantries of apartments, as well as in attics of houses, which no one will wear anymore, but it's so pity to throw them away. Here you can find broken household appliances and much more that will never be used again. If you throw these things away, the owner will not even notice their loss. By voluntarily parting with them is beyond his strength. All this mysterious Russian soul. Politeness in Russia leaves a lot of questions for guests from the other countries. The most polite address on the street can be heard from the lips of beggars who ask for money. Ordinarily, people always address strangers on the street with a touch of familiarity, woman or man. Another distinctive feature that is interesting for foreigners is a lack of smile on the faces of passers-by and strangers. This can be interpreted as a mockery, interest, admiration, a desire to speak, but not as elementary politeness. Most Russian citizens are sure that Russia is perceived abroad as a country where connecting road bears Rome. Where the roots of this must grow from now is no longer clear. For many foreign guests, it became a revelation that they are obligated to expect beers and drunks with harmonicas on the streets. They sell on Red Square and another major tourist centers in Russia t-shirts and sweaters with inscription "I was in Russia, there are no beers there." Most of the guests of the country don't understand what this inscription is about. It is impossible to say that in Russia, cities and villages they drank more than anywhere else in the world. But foreigners are surprised how much in our country revolves around alcohol. In Russia, literature references to alcohol are much more common than in foreign writers. Although Russia often does not take high places in alcoholics ratings, and there are regions in country where alcohol is particularly not consumed at all, for example, Caucasus. And in many countries of Western Europe, according to official data, they drink much more than in Russia. But unfortunately, this is no escape from stereotypes. Anyone who has ever been to Russia for the New Year will never forget these holidays. The tradition of spending the whole night eating hearty and fatty meals is perceived by most foreign tourists with difficulty. As a rule, drinking continues the next day, often from the every morning. Celebrating the New Year for several days seems absolutely normal for Russians. But for me, this tradition is surprising. Russian culinary traditions are diverse, but they have one thing in common. Russian people like food to be more than they can eat and to be satisfying. Side dishes as jelly let are of interest to representative of other countries. Any guest in the house to eat to be fed. And it is not easy to feed but as many dishes as possible. And if guest refuses to do this for no apparent reason, satiety is not reason, then the homeowners may also be offended. Those who came to Russia in autumn-winter will have to be surprised more than once by the multitude of canned vegetables in their diet. Everything is canned here: cucumbers, tomatoes, cabbage, zucchini, beets, and much more. Science and superstition are found everywhere, but not where they listed to so strictly as in Russia. Everyone understands that an even number of flowers in a bouquet can only be carried to a cemetery. Crossing the road in front of the bouquet is unfortunately and rain at the beginning of the trip is good. Russians are no less selective about religion. For example, working on holiday is considered a terrible sin. Every self-respecting passerby will remind the neighbor who went out with a chopper into the garden about this. At the same time, if someone gets drunk and fights even on the biggest Orthodox holiday, this is a just fun adventure, as this person will not have to burn in the hell at all. So guys, we are so interesting Russians. If you like this video, like it, subscribe to my channel. See you soon. Bye bye.